Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 45 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2021 with match number 6 on our list, which is the PWA Tag Team title match between the champions, the VeloCities of Paris de Silva and Jude London, against the challengers, Aussie Open of Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, from the PWA Black Label Aussie Open versus VeloCities event held on May the 8th of 2021. Yes, the match was so good, they named the event after it. So this match is in my opinion, the best tag team match of all of 2021. It is one of the best big match, super indie, Young Buck style, whatever you want to call it, tag team matches of that type ever done, in my opinion. It is incredible. It is long. It is a thrill ride. There is a million crazy moves. There is high drama. There is big action. There is a hot crowd. If you are into that type of wrestling, if you haven't seen this match, you need to do so now. These are two tag teams that were on the verge of potentially breaking out. In 2019, all four guys had recently made their Pro Wrestling Guerrilla debuts, and then the world shut down. So through COVID, these guys were largely restricted to staying in their home of Australia. And it led to PWA Black Label basically getting the opportunity to put on, a native tag team dream match. These two teams had never met in Australia, and they were finally able to do so. So it really had that big match feel, and a crowd very solidly into the match. Basically, the story on display here is that Aussie Open were the big breakout tag team coming out of Australia. They got the bookings in the States. They got the bookings, all over the UK and in Rev Pro and in Progress. And, we're on the cusp of being involved with New Japan, as being part of Will Ospreay's United Empire stable. So, big things coming from that tag team, where the VeloCities, kind of feel that they are just as good, if not better, but they don't get any of the same notoriety as Aussie Open. So this match really has a big anything you can do, I can do better feel to it. It goes back and forth with, there's a big size disparity in this match, with Aussie Open being, true heavyweights. Kyle Fletcher was a smaller guy that's considerably bulked up to being a heavyweight performer. And the VeloCities are two very tiny dudes. So, they have this can you top this story. But, all four of these guys come to this match seemingly with a chip on their shoulder, trying to prove that they can outdo each other in their own styles. So there's moments where the VeloCities, try to stand and go strike for strike with the heavyweights. There's points where, the much larger Aussie Open try to out high fly and out quick, the smaller guys. This is really about proving, who the best tag team in Australia is. It makes for a simple story. It makes for a great story. You have that size disparity in here as well. So you eventually, get that in play, with the underdog VeloCities having to fight from underneath. And it creates this incredible, like I said earlier, thrill ride of a tag team match. Right off the bat, Jude London gets a couple near falls. He nearly rolls up, the much larger Mark Davis. Aussie Open, immediately tried to go to double teams at that point. They have some of the craziest double teams in all of wrestling. Just sick, toss-up moves where one throws a guy up, the other catches it and somehow finds a way to drop him on their head. They do some nasty stuff. So, the second they try to go for that, Paris de Silva is very quick, pulling his partner out and being like, no, we can't fall into this trap. We get a point where, Paris de Silva is in and he outquicks both of Aussie Open. He avoids the double teams only to a certain point, and eventually he gets launched into the air with just a huge flapjack. And Aussie Open, and this is only a couple minutes into the match, hit this succession of all of these big double team moves that lead to a run of 2 counts. And it really, starts the story early on of, Jude and Paris, they have the speed advantage. They're going to have to use that, and they're going to have to use it well, because they can't allow themselves to get trapped, because if they do, they are going to get demolished by these much bigger guys and all of their sick moves. I talk about the chip on everybody's shoulder in this match. There's a point where Paris de Silva, he tries to chop Mark Davis and he pays for it. Mark Davis has some of the sickest chops in all of wrestling. Maybe not quite to Volter level, but he is, gives it the old solid college try. And if you haven't, they had a one-on-one match, Volter and Mark Davis, in Progress Wrestling. That is incredible and something you should seek out. It is very, very brutal. And this is where, the size disparity really starts to come into play. There's a moment that's just phenomenal where Aussie Open, they trade a vertical suplex on Paris de Silva, and they just pass him back and forth in between tags, just walking around the ring with him and doing ups and downs and the deadlifts and just all of this stuff, just toying with him, seemingly coming across very arrogant. And this is a match that more or less coming in was kind of face versus face, these two big popular tag teams from the area. But, they smartly were able to, take that face versus face, and nobody really does anything dastardly or dirty in this match. But it creates, a bit of a more natural heel and face dynamic, and they're able to play up the size difference and really put the crowd and the viewer at home, behind the VeloCities and trying to pull for them to come ahead and get the win. There's a moment where the VeloCities are able to use some blind tag stuff to try to get the advantage. And they go for stereo topes, and Aussie Open just catches them and rams them into one another. Somehow Aussie Open gets back on the attack again, and they hit kind of stereo, like crisscross flip dives off the stage. But again, it barely has an effect on Aussie Open. They come back. Paris de Silva takes a nasty backdrop on the apron, and Jude just gets double teamed into oblivion again for another 2 count. There's a really great heat sequence with Jude trying to fight back and just getting brutalized. He'll, hit all sorts of shots and just get crumbled, with one big chop from Mark Davis or one shot. He gets finally gets a hot tag to Paris, who comes in House of Fire. Ends up hitting just this wild, like, deja vu head scissors into a crucifix bomb. Paris de Silva is like a little, like, spider monkey in this match. He's constantly jumping onto guys' backs and trying to hit whatever move he can. It's really fun and really compelling. Kyle Fletcher just has such nasty offense, especially surrounding, like, tombstone pile drivers and Michinoku drivers and, like, sick head drops. So he hits like a catatonic, right? Like, if you think Chris Harris, like that spinning Uranagi, but chains that into a Michinoku driver, which is nuts. He goes for it again later on, and Paris counters it back into another crucifix bomb on the second time. So just really good stuff. I talked about it, in the opening. There's great moments where Paris de Silva is, trying to stand and go toe-to-toe with the bigger guys. The flip side is you get some fun moments of Mark Davis, hitting cartwheels and doing all of this unexpected stuff and showing that he can keep up speed as the VeloCities try to increase the speed in the match. He, at one point, just to show off his strength, hits like a double body slam on both. Aussie Open does the old, like, BDK move, the Ragnarok, and get 2 off of that. So this match is just full of big-time double team moves. They hit, like, double team power bombs and, like, all sorts of wild stuff, and the VeloCities are constantly having to make the saves and really feel like throughout this match that they're on borrowed time a lot, but they always kind of keep going. There is an insane spot, one of many in this match, where Jude London gets, like, shot up from Mark Davis, like, kind of catapulted up to Kyle Fletcher, who's standing on the top rope, who catches him and then hits him with a Michinoku driver off the top, and then a big splash from Mark Davis follows. That's only good for 2. If you are into, like, hot near falls being broken up at the last second, like, this really is a match that's going to connect with you. If you're a person that, doesn't like that style or, is critical of it, then maybe avoid it. But the fact of the matter is, it is so exciting. It raises your pulse just watching it. And the great part is the crowd responds in kind, right? There's nothing worse than when a match goes to too many near falls and the crowd starts to lose that kind of luster. And if you finished it, 3 moves ago, it would have ended on a higher note. That doesn't happen in this match. Ironically enough, it would happen in a rematch that they would have in January of 2022, in my opinion. But here it doesn't. The crowd is with them the whole way for all of just these crazy moves. Jude London has like an amazing underdog babyface performance in this match, where he's just like egging on Aussie Open to keep fighting him and keep chopping him, and he's dropping and trying to like sit up Undertaker style, and he can't even stand. And Mark Davis is so great, and like puts the hands behind his back like he's Shibata, and is like, okay, I'll give you the free shot. And it's this excellent moment where Jude London hits this big kick, and Mark Davis is like, yeah, that did nothing. And he tries to fire back. And then all of a sudden, like, he actually sells the kick and then gets blasted with another one. It was kind of funny. It added a little bit of lightness, but it was a really cool spot. And again, just, implemented in that story of these guys, trying to show how tough they are and showing that they're better and trying to power through all of these crazy moves and shots they're taking. But sometimes when you get rocked, you get rocked. There is a great moment as we kind of go into the end with all of the near falls, where Paris de Silva hits maybe the best Dragon Rana I've ever seen. If you're unfamiliar with the Dragon Rana, it is a front flip into a Hurricane Rana. It's, Dragon Kid would use it. It's a move that I've seen attempted, hundreds of times throughout my time watching wrestling. And I'd say maybe 5 to 10% of the time, it actually looks good. A lot of the time, the guy trying to do the move, like, brains himself, or, like, it just really doesn't work out. But he hits a gorgeous one here that's so good that only gets him 2. They do this great spot where they get isolation on Kyle Fletcher and hit him with like back-to-back tornado DDTs that only get 2, and they take out Mark Davis. So remember at the start, Aussie Open kind of caught the stereo topes. Well, here they both take him out with a tope, so you can't kind of stop 2 guys. So again, a really good way, a really smart way to take the bigger guy out. We get, just so much crazy hot stuff here. We get a 4-way strike exchange point. Kyle Fletcher goes for a tombstone, and it gets countered into like a Canadian Destroyer tombstone thing, a flipping square driver. I think I've seen that move referred to as before, which was crazy. Jude London does a handspring and ends up on the shoulders of Aussie Open in position for the fidget spinner, which is their signature double team maneuver. But he turns that into a double reverse Rana on them, which sounds like it could look really goofy and contrived, but it actually works really well here. Paris de Silva hits like a sky twister press out to the floor, and then hits the shooting star DDT. So when he hit this move in the January 2022 match, it was like a viral GIF. It was getting, play all over Twitter and social media. But the fact is that not a lot of people had actually seen this match. So he hits it here. He actually hit it in PWG before. The Shooting Star DDT, M-Dog 20 has done it before. It is a move that has been seen, albeit seldom, but he hits so good here. That dude nails that move. And we get, the big kind of, Young Bucks save spot where they kind of just throw one of their opponents onto the pile to break the pin. And at this point, it just the match is completely into overdrive. Aussie Open, just at this point, really the Velocities have hit all of their best stuff. They really have nothing left, and that's the story that they kind of try to tell here. They get one more little boost where Aussie Open goes back to the toss-up Michinoku off the top. But Paris de Silva counters it and stands on Mark Davis's shoulders and hits a Spanish fly to Kyle Fletcher. I told you this match is nuts. So that's kind of the last sort of ditch effort he gets. But then he makes the mistake of going to the well once too often. He goes for a double Shooting Star DDT, and they basically catch him. And they do a move where Mark Davis holds him in a vertical suplex, tosses him up in the air, and then Kyle Fletcher super kicks him as he's coming down. It is as brutal and stupid as it sounds. It actually knocks Paris to Silva, clean out, legitimate knockout, resulted in the slight change on the finish of the match. But if you didn't know that, reading about it after the fact, you might not know because it's so seamless how they do it. But it is brutal and nasty. And again, just like the cherry on top, if you can watch, stupid moves where dudes get legitimately knocked out, these wrestlers, they know what they're doing. They take the risks. It's wild. Jude tries to go into a springboard and he gets dropped. Gets hit with a tombstone from Fletcher, a pile driver from Davis, and then the fidget spinner, and it's enough for 3. And like I said, this match, it goes lengthy. It's, upwards of 30, 35 minutes. It's got more moves than you can shake a stick at. I had a hard enough time just trying to break them all down for you in this video. But it is so exciting. There's so much drama. These are 4 guys. If they're not on your radar, they need to be. Aussie Open, when things fully open back up again someday, you're going to see them everywhere. You're going to see them in New Japan. Wouldn't surprise me if they turn up in AEW, but the VeloCities are guys that, are really cruising under the radar. Like I said, these 2 teams had a rematch for PWA Black Label in January of 2022. It's good, it's worth watching, but it doesn't have the heat that this one did. Like I said, it kind of runs out of steam a little bit near the end. It also had tacked on like the titles versus careers stipulation, where it just really made it seem like the VeloCities weren't going to lose, and they didn't. They won that match. It felt unnecessary. But as of the time of me recording this video, about a week ago, these 2 had a match for Rev Pro in the UK and apparently tore it up. I haven't watched that one yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And if it's as good as this match was, expect to see it on next year's countdown. This match, you can watch it on Fight TV. If you subscribe to Fight Plus, it is available for free on there. A lot of the PWA Black Label back catalog is. However, if you're looking just for this match in particular, it is available for free on Pro Wrestling Australia's YouTube. I will link it on my social media channels. Like I said, if this is the type of wrestling you like and you have not seen this match, you owe it to yourself to do so. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.